So what were they testing exactly with the World War One mode? Let's talk a little bit about that and talk a little bit about what might be what the World War modes will be like when they get added. So I think, first of all, that they are testing two things. The first thing is obviously World War One vehicles. I think, although they show it to us basically why they didn't add yet World War One vehicles to the game, because they're really bad. You know, they're just really bad. But although they did that, they at the same time were testing and introducing properly these vehicles to, you know, without too much of a thought about it. Just, yeah, let's just add some of them into the game and see how they perform, you know. And did they perform well? Well, not really. You know, I did some videos, you know, testing them out in ground battles and air battles and stuff, and they are very bad normally, right? You can get kills with it, but you normally will get a lot of deaths, you know. So yes, the German A7, it's pretty good, but everything else, it tends to suffer a bit on the even on the reserve ranks, right? So at the same time that they did test, it kind of proved to them and to us that maybe we need a whole bunch of new BRs, you know, downwards, if they really want to add more vehicles from the World War One period to World War II, right? So the interwar period, even stuff like that, right? Because although, you know, these tanks are kind of working, there would be very iconic tanks, like I already said, the FT-17, the Renault, right? It wouldn't work too much. It would be very bad. So to have more vehicles like this, they need to introduce more BRs, and they kind of tested that, how these would be introduced, how they you know, add them or not, you know. Honestly, I don't think they will add more vehicles for now, maybe here and there, some of them, but in a general sense, it did the test that basically showed that these vehicles are too bad to be on the reserve ranks. We need a whole bunch of new BRs for them to be flying and driving well. Okay? At the same time, I think they tested what the new World War mode will be like. Basically, what infantry will be like, and how these large and more realistic environments of you know, a game mode will be like when they want something like this to happen, right? Because what we had here is the same good old three, you know, flag capture points that we already have in ground battles and stuff, but at the same time they introduced little things here and there that became way better than what was the World War mode before, you know. So for example, they introduced, you know, the infantry running around, although you cannot get points by killing them, which I find it very weird, because, you know, they are moving towards the enemy and trying to do stuff as well. I mean, not really, they don't do anything, but you get the idea. It's kind of weird that we don't get points about killing them, so why are they there? And with that, it's kind of weird to even have them there, because if they don't give you anything, why would people kill them? And with that, it would just create a very weird position where you are just, you know, driving around filled with enemies on all sides of you, and they're not doing anything against you, and you're not doing anything against them, and that's it, right? And kinda, guys, this is what infantry will actually be like. Think about, they're not gonna add infantry to the game. They teased us. Maybe we will see a game mode testing that and properly having something like that. You know, a first-person kind of situation or something like that. If the video that they did was, it just felt too well made to not be something, right? But at the same time, it is, you know, something that was denied for a very long time, that we will see infantry added to the game, right? Which means that we will probably never see it. Just like first-person drones, right? So, you know, it's kind of weird to say this, but although that video was really well made about the about the soldiers and infantry and everything, it doesn't feel like they're gonna do something with that. What I think it's gonna happen is having infantry like that, having waves of attacks or anything like that in war modes to actually have some form of diversity of targets and, you know, a more filled environment on the battle. Because at the same time, it's just a very small, look at this, you can clearly see on the battlefield there's 3 packages right there of infantry on the trenches, right? And they don't do too much, it's just kind of a cosmetic thing. But guys, be honest, the match when you are down there with a tank, it feels a lot more alive than it was before without those, right? So I think they are testing exactly that, how to feel basically the whole match with cosmetic and other stuff to actually have a more interesting environment for the player to actually play in. That's the main thing, I think, to be honest. And this will be something for World War mode. There are leaks that they are working on the World War mode for the Iraq invasion and stuff. So the Operation Desert Storm and stuff like that. So it just kind of makes sense, right, that they would plan and, you know, try to test some of these types of matching feeling kind of cosmetic things to be able to, you know, properly add them when World War mode becomes a thing again. And yeah, this is, you know, way better than what it was. What it was before, it was way too random and it wasn't really realistic. Now something like this feels a lot more realistic. I know it probably takes a lot of time to create you know, a battlefield map like this, but to be honest, if they want World War mode to work, this will be what you have to have in mind when dealing with maps and producing something like it's worth to actually play, right? So this is my opinion. These are the 2 things that they are testing, in my opinion. The vehicles themselves, of course, but mainly the maps, how to feel a map, how to make a map feel like a realistic map in a World War mode kind of scenario, with infantry, you know, running around with machine guns, with artillery, and the artillery, you know, like exploding in the middle of the battlefield was pretty beautiful, you know, it's amazing. So this is the things that they are testing it out. Imagine this with a modern kind of environment, and this will be what World War mode will be like, in my opinion. Let's wait and see. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, if you think that they were testing another thing, but in my opinion, this is it, these 2 things. Okay, so I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and bye.